Some stories don't start with monsters or killers hiding in the dark. Some stories begin with something far worse, a moment so ordinary that no one notices the darkness closing in until it's already too late. This is one of those stories, a real American case that feels impossible because what vanished was a 2-year-old child. A child who was there 1 second and gone the next, without a sound, without a trace, without a single footprint in the dirt. This is the disappearance of DeOrr Kunz Jr., a case so disturbing that investigators still argue whether it was an accident or something far darker. It was July 10th, 2015, a warm summer afternoon in the mountains of Idaho. Open skies, clear air, pine trees stretching for miles. It was the kind of place families choose for peace, not horror. 2-year-old DeOrr was on a camping trip with his mother, his father, his great-grandfather, and a friend of the family. Nothing unusual, nothing dangerous, just a small camp next to a creek deep in the wilderness. The parents said DeOrr was happy, laughing, running around, throwing rocks into the water. The perfect day. And then, in less than 10 minutes, everything collapsed. According to the parents, they left DeOrr with his great-grandfather while they walked a short distance to check out a fishing spot. It wasn't far. They could still see the camp. But when they returned, the old man looked confused. He thought the child was with them. They thought the child was with him. And that was the moment, the exact second, they realized no one knew where DeOrr was. Panic hit instantly. They screamed his name. They ran around the campsite. They checked the creek, the rocks, the bushes, every shadow that could hide a child. Nothing. No sound of crying, no footprints leading away, no drag marks, no disturbed soil. Nothing that showed a child had ever walked out of the camp. Within an hour, search and rescue teams arrived. Then helicopters, then dogs, then drones. More than 150 people covered the mountain. A 2-year-old child cannot survive long alone in the wilderness. They don't walk far. They don't hide. They don't stay silent when scared. And yet, for days, searchers found nothing. No clothing, no toy, no diaper, no hair, not even a thread from the boy's tiny shirt. Dogs followed the scent from the camp for a few meters, and then the scent dropped off a cliff. Not literally, but as if the child had ceased to exist. Search teams said this almost never happens. There is always some sign, always something. But this time, the mountain kept its secrets. Investigators began to question the only remaining explanation. What if DeOrr was never lost, but taken? But by who? The campsite was isolated, 45 minutes from the nearest town. No cars were seen, no strangers, nothing suspicious. Unless the danger was inside the camp. For months, the investigators focused on the parents. Their stories didn't always match. Timelines changed, statements shifted. Tiny inconsistencies started looking much bigger. But there was no proof, no confession, No physical evidence of harm. Just theories, just darkness. Just questions with no answers. Some believe DeOrr wandered into the creek and the current carried him away. But the water was shallow. Searchers checked every inch. Some believe a wild animal took him, but there were no tracks, no drag marks, no blood, and animals don't erase footprints. Others believe someone at the campsite knows more than they admitted. But without evidence, everything remains shadows. His tiny boots were never found. His clothing never surfaced. Not a single bone was recovered. How does a child simply disappear from a place where disappearance should be impossible? Investigators, after years of work, were forced to consider a chilling possibility. Maybe DeOrr Kunz Jr. never walked away. Maybe someone carried him away. Or worse, maybe he never left the camp alive. To this day, 9 long years later, no one knows the truth. The parents still claim their innocence. The investigators still insist that something was hidden. And somewhere in the mountains of Idaho, there's a silence that still holds the answer. If you want more real cases like this, subscribe to ShadowPulse. Some stories aren't just mysteries, they're warnings.